All right, if you're just joining us, welcome. We have our featured speaker for today. It is none other than Mr. Bill Predebon. Now,
Hey, Aldi,
yes.
you might want to announce that also having a Velocity banking game in Plain City tonight at 7 o'clock.
All right, what Pete said. Thank you, Pete, for reminding me about that.
You're welcome.
All right, so we have our featured speaker for today, Mr. Bill Predebon. And, before joining Renatus, Bill was actually a realtor and a loan officer. And this was back in 2007. In that year, he made just a little over $17,000. So, he didn't think that was incredibly impressive for what he was capable of doing. He joined Renatus in 2008, saw immediate value, and he saw that he could not only learn real estate but also be able to apply it because of the nurturing environment that Renatus provided him. In his first year, he did over 13 transactions, netted over $190,000, and ever since, Bill has just had some incredible success. He's done over 130 deals. He's grown his team. And what I really like about Bill, when he comes on these morning calls, he really opens up to us. He really, he's a very genuine person. He's easy to talk to. And, that's really what I like about Bill. And today we are fortunate to have Bill as our speaker. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Bill Predebon. Hey, Bill, how are you today?
Hey, Abdi, how are you, buddy? I'm great, man. Thanks.
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much.
Does it sound pretty clear?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent, man. Dude, that was a fantastic introduction. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thanks for taking the time to get that information and to put it all together. Thanks for putting this together. And I think everybody on the call greatly appreciates you taking over the helm and helping us all out or coordinating this call. It's greatly appreciated. Good man. Woohoo! All right. Welcome, everybody. So I think last week, hi, Dennis. I saw your chat earlier. Welcome. Good day to you too. I think last week we discussed, let's see, I'll go to video too if you guys want. That's always fun. There we go. We discussed last week some real estate stuff and how it pertains to marketing. So I'm going to finish up with that as well. And I'm going to talk about my formula that I use. I think we dove into a little bit about analyzing property and how I do that before I go look at a property. And then, but obviously this call is always about marketing, this webinar, if you will. So it's got to relate, and they're all intertwined, and I'll go through that naturally through the day, through the hour as well. So you can take this information and not only maybe learn a little bit about real estate, but most importantly, learn how to apply this to your marketing tactics and your marketing strategies, and talking to you, especially, with the way the trends are going and the success that we're having with enrolling students with your, for lack of a better term, your warm market, right? The folks that you meet that mean the most to you, the folks that are already have a relationship with you, the folks that trust you, and vice versa. And more importantly, the folks that you want to work with, the folks that honestly you'd rather have on your team than necessarily some strangers or some people, that last night I was training on our team call here in Arizona, and I was saying, honestly, there's going to be people that we're going to have to drag and pull and entice, and entice is a bad word, convince, and such like that. But why not spend the majority of our time working with people just like us, people that don't have to be dragged and pushed and pulled and convinced to join Renatus. Work with people that want to go through the system, go through the 4 to 5 to 7 touches like Christian talked about, and make a decision, whatever that decision is, without stressing you out. And those folks are the people that we know and love. So hopefully this will also really, I think, make it easier for you to talk to these folks based on these trainings about real estate. So we're only at 51 people. So I don't know if it's me or if it's Tuesdays, but reach out to your team and your friends and your, the colleagues you love the most, and let them know we're on the call. It is obviously now the time change. So for me, believe it or not, I actually slept. I didn't sleep through, but I missed the call yesterday. It was so funny because we don't change in Arizona, so it went back to 7 o'clock, and so now I get up at 5:30 to walk my dogs, and then come get ready for the call. So interesting. Well, for one of the day I trained, but yesterday I woke up at, I don't even know, like 7:15, and didn't even get on the call till 7:30, and it was half over. So with that, okay, let's get started. Remember, I'll go ahead and type this information, 760-533-3141. That is my cell number. It's in the information. So as you guys know, feel free to chat. So I call this a real estate mastermind, if you will, and this is masterminding your way to sales through real estate. I'll share my screen in a little while, and we'll touch a little bit about, I don't know, I call it a formula, or my idea of what I do when I'm analyzing a deal. If that helps, I don't think we've gone over that. And then, and so if you guys have questions about anything to do with marketing, I don't care if it pertains to my training or not. So if you're new and it's and you're working on something that with a client or an agent or a student, and you want help with what to say or how to say it on any topic, then just reach out. In the meantime, we'll go through what I have planned. And if you have questions on what I have planned in regards to real estate or marketing and how we can apply it to our marketing, then just type it in or chat it out, and we'll go from there. I'll go off on a tangent. One of the things, so I call this a mastermind. One of the things that I think that is important to remember is when we're studying our classes, that those classes are in a way a mastermind because they're live, right? So you're watching a recorded event where there was a Q&A. And so, you also have access to those instructors through email. And then as they come to your territory or you talk to folks and stuff, eventually you get their cell phone information as well. And it's a powerful tool that I don't think the way that we offer it is offered in many other opportunities with real estate investing education. So, most of us, when we talk to folks, as you know, we're talking to them and they're attracted to Renatus because of real estate. 2.75 people out of 3 are interested in real estate, especially in a lot of the markets that our major cities are in, right? Like the West Coast over here in Florida, and some of the faster appreciating markets, Arizona, California, Seattle, Washington, even in Chicago with the real estate there, but down southeast as well. These markets are fast appreciating markets. And so there's a lot of demand for real estate knowledge because of the potential profits in an up market. So there is a high demand. So when we're attracting folks to Renatus, we're generally speaking introducing them to the opportunity of learning to invest in real estate, learning to create a portfolio. So not only is it attractive in those markets, but in the world, it's commonplace to people to understand that real estate is a wealth creator. And so when we're given the opportunity to explore Renatus, to see the opportunity with Renatus, when we're talking to our friends and family, again, for lack of better names, then it's important, I think, that we have the ability to discuss real estate. Now, you heard Bob just a minute ago, if you were on when Abdi put together the generally speaking, and I think being a doer is naturally a more attractive feature, right? So you do want to have a story. But one of the things that we don't have to have is a deal. You don't have to have a deal in order to have more knowledge and more skill set than the majority of the American public. The education alone, and you hear all the trainers talk about this, what you just learned through the education, whether you've applied it or not, is powerful enough for you in order to begin to become an expert, if you will. Maybe not an expert flipper, but an expert in the language and the vocabulary that has to do behind the real estate itself, especially in velocity banking, in credit management, in tax and legal. When you are learning this information and even starting to apply it, or even if you haven't applied it yet, you have learned information that is very privileged information, if you will, because of the knowledge that the high quality and high level of knowledge that we have access to through the training. So, okay, with that said, I'm just trying to let you know, set the stage here, that these masterminds are just a continuation of the existing masterminds that we have. I'm not trying to replace them or anything like that. Okay, so where do we want to kick this off? Everybody has a story, and you guys all know that stories sell. And like, in fact, I rarely watch the news, and I was watching the news yesterday and about a guy who took some fentanyl because he wanted to try it. An older, not a young guy, I mean, but maybe in his 20s or whatever. And the guy died. But then somehow after 6 revisions, and I don't know what they did to him, he lived to tell his story. So now he's clean, and he was telling the story of fentanyl. You know, you can put out the warnings. You can talk to your parents, talk to your kids about drugs and all that stuff. But stories really sell. Experiences sell. And so it's important that you guys understand your story and understand that your story does not need to have a flip in it yet, right? It doesn't need to have your first deal. And I know this is pretty trivial for most of you. Some of you guys are new, and a lot of your, and anytime I talk about this stuff, and I think that all the trainers that you guys hear from on a weekly basis, it's not necessarily for you anymore as it is for when you're talking to your guests, and you can overcome objections, and you can, because they're going to experience the same thing. Well, I can't really do any marketing because I haven't done a deal yet. Things like that. So they're going to experience the same thing. And so all of these things that we're reiterating and training on not only will help pertain to you, but also will pertain to your potential students. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to share. So last week, somebody asked me, I think, if I go to my properties, when I go out to my properties before I make an offer, and I said that I don't, rarely ever, except for special occasions, which I won't get into because I talked about it last week. But I do analyze the property at what I call desktop underwriting, right? So I'm going to underwrite the property right from my desktop. Number one is when we talked about comps, I immediately use my own comping tool. So I'll use Flip Comp in iOS. If you're not on iOS software, get to a point where you can create some cash flow to be able to afford or pay for the monthly subscription to the iOS, because it's going to be pretty powerful. They're going to do a full-blown training on it at Nationals, and it'll be very valuable to you. And so I also have my own comping tools. I also have access to MLS through some of my realtors, not like not like their back office code, just a portal. I don't use that as much, to be honest. But what I do is, for me, the best way for me to get comps, you guys, is I describe to my realtors what I want. Well, at this point they know, but for you all, I mentioned this before, is I literally want my comps to be derived from them, from the MLS, based on my criteria. And my criteria is within 6 months. I guess I should write it down. Yeah, I've got the screen, right? Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so if I go right here, all right. Oh man, that's a pain. Maybe I can type. All right, whiteboard, draw text. Okay. So within 6 months back, and no more than, that's kind of a cool. I'm going to open this up a little bit. 1 mile radius. All right, so I'm going to tell, is that right? There it is. So I'm going to tell my realtor that these are the comps I want. Now, the other thing I don't do is there's no filter. All right. And what I mean by that, MLS has a ton of filters. So I don't want, the only filter I have is that it's a single family residence only. Otherwise, I don't care if it's 2-story, 1-story, and I think I went through this, or anything like that. I just want everything possible within that. Now, 1 mile is a pretty big range. So I try to do the neighborhood or the subdivision first. Now, once I'm inside that, once I get this, I need 5 properties of active, pending, and sold. Okay, so if I don't have 5 at least for a comparable, then I go out to 12 months if I have to, or out of the subdivision or the neighborhood. So I'll expand my search. So the point to this is that I just want to get enough information of the area so I can look at the actual comps on the computer, and then I don't want the realtor to. I'm going to have the realtor send me their comps, and I'll get to that in a second. But I want the realtor to send me what I want to comp and how I want to analyze it. And then, so like, as I said this before, as you ask for comps, you ask for an opinion. It's an opinion of value, no matter who you ask it for. So they are going to use whatever decisions they make for an opinion of value. So if they want to only compare certain size properties, properties with pools, properties without pools, properties that are fixed up, not fixed up, if they want to eliminate foreclosures, if they want to eliminate short sales, they're going to choose whatever they want to not be a comp or be a comp. So you're not going to get the whole picture. You're going to get their picture, which is good. Get their opinion and compare it to yours. But when you do your opinion, when I underwrite a desktop underwrite on a property before I go look at it, I want to see the whole neighborhood and the whole area and get a picture of what everything looks like. And then I'm going to do an average of averages, right? And so when I do this, that enables me to make my own decision on what it's worth, and then also enables me to get an opinion from my realtor what it's worth, right? And so this I can do really quickly. When I look at these comps, I can just see what my subject property is, a single story, 2-story, how big it is, how many bedrooms it is, and how much work it needs. And then I can look at the properties and just take a quick glance at the pictures and see what those properties look like and what I need to make my property look to. Okay, so this is the way I do I have areas in Arizona, and in my opinion, you hear this all the time. So I'm gonna pause in a minute and get to the marketing side of this. So we're not just sitting here studying real estate, because I'm not a teacher, as you guys know. I'm not one of the educators. I'm simply a marketer. I'm simply someone who does real estate and uses the education to do it. What I'm sharing with you is a little bit about how I do things. And I think that you'll be able to take this and go to and have conversations within your one-on-ones, or even Thursday nights, and even conversations prior to booking people that will help you tell a story so that they can have more interest in what we offer. All right. So in Arizona, I have areas. Now, you hear this all the time, in my opinion, that you want to stay in your backyard. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be your backyard, but you want to be familiar with the place that you go. If you're going to start looking for property, try to look in an area that you know. So I know, for example, what it takes per square foot cosmetically to fix up a property. Okay, so what I mean by cosmetically is simply paint, carpet, obviously, then cabinets, countertops, fixtures, baseboards, doors, maybe some landscaping, exterior cosmetic landscaping, and really that's it. Bathrooms, tile surrounds, tile floors, all of that. It's all it's all everything that everybody looks at, can touch and feel. And so that's what I, generally speaking, look at as something I'm going to improve on the property. So, you know, when I'm in parts of Phoenix here, and these neighborhoods are under 250K retail ARV, you know, it's $15 per square foot. When I'm in Arcadia, which is Central Phoenix, South Scottsdale, Camelback area, and there's other areas, but in these particular areas, you know, I'm $30 a square foot at least, depending on the property, to fix the property up. So what I'm getting at is that I can automatically look at the square foot on the property, and I can determine real quickly, based on $10 to $30 to $40 a square foot, what it's going to take to fix the property. So I just multiply that. All right. And that's where I know my fix up is. So when I fix up the property, when I'm doing a desktop underwriting, before I go look at it, if it's 1,500 square feet and I know it's $30 a foot, it's about 45 grand to fix it. Now, if I've got to add a roof, I've got to add, you know, 6 grand. If I've got to add an AC unit, I got to add 3,500 bucks, or 3 grand. If I've got to do a full electric rewire and I'm putting in can lighting, I know that I've got to add more for electric. So my costs to fix up are going to go up. Even if you're not 100% sure on your fix up costs, this is the way to underwrite it to make your offer, right? So just the other night, I had an offer. I had a property texted to me, and it was just a bird dog. And he's like, "Hey man, this thing's being sold for $93 a square feet. $93 a square foot. For Phoenix, that's unheard of." So I immediately underwrote the property in like 5 minutes. And I just looked at I pulled it up on Zillow, to be honest. I didn't even call my realtor because I needed to make an offer. I texted him to make an offer. He was out to dinner, but I already had the offer in mind. So I looked at the property. I looked at the area. I times it by $20 a square foot. I saw that that it didn't need, I assumed it needed all cosmetics, and that it was 2,600 square feet. So I knew it was going to need at least 30 grand to fix it. And where the area was, in theory, it was 15 bucks a foot. So I estimated 40,000, not quite doubling the square footage to 50 grand, but I estimated 40 grand for this deal. And I wrote the offer based on this formula I'm going to share with you. And right now they had multiple offers, and they're waiting for a couple more offers or something. They didn't like anybody's offer from the last email I got. But the point was, on whatever it was, Friday night or Saturday night at 9 o'clock, I was able to write an offer in 5 minutes, send it over to my realtor, and he typed it up by 11 o'clock, and we got it in. And it's all DocuSign and electronically done. But I did it based on this thought process, right? I looked at the picture of the house, and it looked pretty decent. And again, I'm going to be in an inspection period. I can really worry about what actually needs to be done in the future. But at least I'm not going to go drive it at 11 o'clock on Saturday night. I'm not going to spend any time on Sunday on it. I want to wait till I'm at least being counter offered before I go look at this property. If I'm not even in the ballpark, then I could care less. That's deal of the decade, man. The next one's coming down the road, right? So the more offers I make, the better you're going to get at doing this formula, or this analyzation. Now, I'm going to move into a formula that I use to get to what you do with this information. So 1,500, square feet times $30, is going to be obviously 45 grand, right? 45K to fix. Okay. Before we do that, the purpose of this is, again, we've got to think about what we're here for. When I speak with folks, I'm fortunate enough, like when I place an ad, when I talk to people, they want to know that they have the ability to have a mentor, right? That they want their hand held. They're looking for that. They're looking for that extra mile, right? Are they going to go the extra mile? They're going to try a little harder. Tell me you haven't heard this. I learn by doing. I learn by getting my hands wet, dirty. I'm a hands-on kind of guy or girl, and I want if I could just shadow you, shadow somebody, right? All of those things come in. So what we can't convey is that that's a theory and a myth on how to learn real estate, okay? Because I did not learn hands-on. Nobody taught me how to do this by physically taking me out and going to an auction, going to a property, anything like that. You know where I learned this? From the freaking real estate. So, but when you say that to somebody and you're like, spend 20 grand with me, you're going to learn from all these instructors on how to do it. It's a tough sell. I shouldn't say that. It's not a tough sell. They don't believe it. They need more info, right? So we want to be able to, without lying, right? You're not the mentor. I'm not the mentor. And without telling them, oh yeah, don't worry. You'll learn from me. You'll learn from my affiliate or whatever. What we need to be able to do is share the fact that there are folks in Renatus that do real estate, hundreds and thousands of them, and you work with them every day. This is whether you've done a deal or not, right? And so the truth is we are about abundance. We have a mindset of giving back. We have a mindset of sharing. We have a mindset of abundance. And from that, we learn from the top up, from Bob Snyder down to, through our pack members, through our pit leaders, and into our local leaders, and then our entire group, right? And you'll find that most of the people that don't have that mindset that come into Renatus, they don't stick around too long, to be honest. It's not a selfish place. So here's what I'm getting at. The thought process behind it is when you're speaking with somebody is that people, and the way that we work is that we have people that are willing to share the way they do deals, right? People ask me all the time, can I shadow you? And yeah, you could, but it's not that sexy. I'm not out working on a house and let alone even if I was working on a house. I mean, when I'm at the house, I'm there for a very short period of time. I'm only there to give somebody a paycheck. It's not that exciting, right? So my day changes constantly. So what I do say is that my team has access to me anytime, 24 hours a day. Not 24 hours a day, but anytime they want to text me, call me, and talk about real estate marketing or whatever. right? And if they're working on something, they can say, hey, I got this deal, and what's the best way to analyze or if it needs a new roof, okay? And if it's too long to text, I'll call them up. And so what we need to be able to convey to people is that we do have the opportunity for people to learn from people within the group, people that and not learn like get educated, but learn from their experiences. Okay, so I have a database of people in my phone, from hard money lenders to trades to title companies to all this stuff, right? And that is just an easy, simple example of how the entire group gives back and shares that information. I promise you, if you ask Christian Sadler who his hard money lender is, he will tell you, right? He doesn't care. He's not holding it back so that they don't run out of money and no one can use him, right? And then he has to go try to get a loan from him, and the guy has no more money because he gave his name out to everybody. We don't think that way. We don't operate that way. So, that's just one simple way of how someone that's been doing a lot of real estate, or doing any real estate for that matter, even Cole Ingram, right? Cole and Peggy Ingram, they've been with us 2 years. They're on their 7th or 8th deal. And he's constantly sharing trades. Some of them are mine that I've already given him, and then he's gone on to find his own. It's the way that things work around here, right? So when we're talking about, we're talking to our friends and family, and we're talking to our colleagues about doing real estate and understanding the education is a library source. It's an extensive, undeniably the best, and the most fulfilled, what's the word I'm looking for? Expansive, complete library resource for real estate and in financial literacy knowledge that's out there. Okay. But the hands-on stuff is the community. The hands-on stuff, the way you learn, that person that they want to hold their hand, is all of us. It's not one person. It's not one individual who's done more deals than somebody else. Okay. I promise you that there are folks in our group here in Scottsdale Renatus that are learning from people that are just starting, that are on their first deal, and that person is already sharing. And I can give many examples with Keo and Zach Jones and Corey and Ron. I mean, the list just goes on. And Keely. I mean, there's so many people that have done 1 or 5 or a few deals, and they're starting to they share the same way they comp property, who their realtor is, how they found the deal, and all that stuff. Not just on the property tours. So this is important that we can separate ourselves from other opportunities in that way. And that when we're doing this mastermind, when I'm sharing this information, again, I'm sharing it for you to be able to create a story from it about how you were at 7 a.m. on a 7, 8 or 9 a.m. On a Tuesday morning, we're driving to work or just had gotten to work. And before you started, you sat down and you listened to this call and you learned about a formula and how to analyze, underwrite a property in 10 minutes, right? And then you make it your own. You create this story around how it's affected you. And it's not so you can go out and do a deal, because this stuff's all coming from literally the instructors. Like, I didn't create anything here. I just learned this and applied it, what I'm going to share with you. And so what you do is you share that this is the way that I just spent an hour with a guy who's done over 130 deals, and you'll have that same opportunity when you enroll with us. The first thing he does is give us his cell phone number if we ever need to reach out to him, right? And I promise you, there's people on this call that have reached out to me. I can't always solve all your problems. I can't always bring you money or bring you a deal or bring you a buyer. Even if I live in Arizona, and I apologize. Not every deal is workable for me. But I promise I'll get back to you. I'll do my best, and I will spread the word, and I will look into it. I mean, I give you my word on that. We do that. It just doesn't always work out the way we want it to. But the point is you have another source. There's constant referral sources throughout that you don't have to do on your own. Most people, when they join another group and they go to a seminar or a group and they go learn education, there is a small Facebook group perhaps. There is some sort of support. but they're put out on their own. They're cast out on their own to figure out when the time is up, when the 3 days up, the 5 days up. If they didn't buy the bigger package where they have boots on the ground flying in, if they didn't do a really good job of networking within their community, within their group that week or that 3 days, and their city's really big and they don't live next to each other, there's going to be an issue of them having to do this all on their own. Find their own title company, their own lawyer, find their own hard money lenders, Google everything, and hope that it works, right? So you can always Google something, but it doesn't always mean that you're picking the right one. And you have no soundboard. You have no one to question. Hey, man, what do you think of AFG funding? And I'll give you my opinion of AFG, right? And so, because I've used them, but you might think they're the best because that's what you Googled. You got my point. So we're going to move on to this formula and how to underwrite this. And but I think it's important that we use this to create a story about how you are able to walk with folks and do that hands-on, hold my hand kind of analysis. That's why, like I said, if you have any questions, did I lose the chat? I don't know where it went. I don't see anybody's chat yet. Probably because I'm on the whiteboard, but I just want to make sure. Let's see. I'm just checking the chat. I don't know if I have it, but because I didn't see it, and because I'm on the whiteboard. But I think I have to go back. Doesn't matter.
Bill, this is Keely. I can read it to you.
Is there any questions?
There's one.
Yeah.
When you use $30 a square foot for repairs, is that just your worst case scenario? You can make them defend that it won't take so much, but just get an offer out there, question mark.
Yeah, read it one more time. When I use $30 a square foot, is that my worst case scenario?
Yes.
And then what was the last part?
You can make them defend that it won't take so much, but just get an offer out there, question.
Okay, so great question. I use that in certain areas. I would not use a worst case scenario because your offer might not be taken serious. So I'm going to talk about this real quick. So number one is when I look at the property and I look at the comps, and if I'm looking at the comps and I just look at Zillow and it says it's worth 250 grand, okay, and it's 2,000 square feet, no matter where you are. Okay, obviously that's not going to be in California, but if you're in Utah or Denver or here in Arizona or whatever, it's not a bad number. So I'm going to say it's worth 250,000. It's 2,000 square feet, and that's what Zillow's saying. Then all the other comps are in that 250 range, so Zillow doesn't know it's fixed up or not. So what I'm getting at is if I go in there and I say, and I tell them I want a $60,000 discount for fix up. And I want to make 50 grand, or even if I put 60 grand into a house, I want to maybe estimate 40,000 on profit. And then I got to think about carrying costs, and I'm going to go through this formula. My offer is not going to be accepted. I mean, they're asking $200,000 and I'm asking for a $100,000 discount. It's pretty rare unless it's really, really bad, right? That I'm going to get a $150,000 spread on a property. So I can't go just on any offer. So what I'm getting at is that I have certain areas that I use for different square footage. And it's either $10 a square foot up to $40 to $50 a square foot. So like North Arcadia near Camelback Mountain, fixing that up cosmetically is $50 a square foot. It's not more expensive in paint, but it's more expensive in fixtures. Your light fixtures are in the hundreds. Your staging is more expensive. I don't stage $200,000, $300,000 houses, but I stage $1 million homes. Your pavers for your driveway, that's cosmetic. When I do landscaping on an $800,000 house, I put $20,000 in landscaping. When I do landscaping on a $300,000 house, I don't do any landscaping except clean up, $500. So I have to have different areas for different numbers. So when I say Arcadia $30 a foot, that's realistic. When I look at a house that is outdated, and nothing wrong with the house, but it is outdated, I need to know the number of what it's going to take me to get it to the picture. Now, the way for you guys to be able to look at this and determine how much per square foot is you're going to look at the comps, and you're going to see how pretty they are. And you know, if they're running tile up a wall as an accent floor, I mean, as an accent wall, and there's tile in the area, and it's a nice area for you, like I don't know, in Denver, maybe it's a $400,000 house, and it's a nice suburb, and you've got a nice green grass, you got a lot of growth and trees and stuff like that. Then you know that you've got to get water going. You've got to have some good grass cutting, and you've got to fix the landscaping and make it pretty. That's going to cost a little more money. And if you've got waterfall coming down the island, which means that the granite goes all the way down to the ground on the sides of the island. If your comps are waterfalling their granite, you're going to have to buy an extra slab of granite. So you know your price per square foot is going to go up. You know, if you're buying a house that is in your average median range in your territory, wherever that is, I don't care if it's California and it's $550,000, or if it's, you know, Arizona and it's $280,000, you are going to only need the necessities. You don't even necessarily need granite. You need carpet paint. You need all new fixtures, but you're going to get the least expensive. Your vanity is going to be $100. It's not going to be $500 with a marble top. It's going to be, you know, $100, including the sink, everything but the faucet from Home Depot in a little package. So you can go down to $15 a square foot. So I use that as an average for that particular neighborhood that I'm looking at. And so then when I make the offer, it's still a legitimate offer. And then it's getting the ball rolling in order for me before I go actually look at the property, and then before I really determine what I'm going to offer and what I can come up to. So I'm going to use this formula so you guys can see how I change my offer as I move forward. So we've got ARV. We all know that is the retail value. So I'm going to use a recent deal. Let's see. Which one do I want to use? Okay. After repair value. Very hard to comp all the time, right? If we had a crystal ball, we'd all be really wealthy, right? Especially in real estate, but we don't. So in ARV, what I've got is this house, I'm going to keep it at $700,000. This is just a bad example. I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to go with, what's a more recent deal that I did that I'm working on right now that is lower? Sorry, guys. Okay. $450,000. Okay, $425,000. Now, this is in an area in Central Phoenix that needed all cosmetics, and it also needed a little bit of, how do I do this? Okay, ARV, $425,000. Okay, square foot was 2,100. So I need to subtract my purchase price, okay, which is the buy price, which I need to get to, okay? Now, for me, how much time? We got time. Okay, $425,000. We have to sell the property. I'm going to back this out. $425,000 is for sales for me. So I am never going to pay more than 5%. I shouldn't say never. I'm gonna most likely only pay 5% for realtor's costs. I'm gonna entice my realtor. Like you can get your realtor to sell for 0.5 point or 1% on very special occasions, but most of the time I'm gonna offer the 5% realtor's fee. Okay, 3 to the buyer, 2 to my agent. So I have to subtract out minus 5%. So 425 times 5% is 21,000. Then I'm going to have at least 1% to sell. So I'm going to add another $4,000. So this is my sales costs, 4,000. Okay, and that's probably high, but that could include my inspection costs. Like if there's a couple things they need me to fix, it's going to include title escrow, title insurance for the buyer. It's going to include, you know, closing costs and everything. I don't have any loan costs, obviously, when I'm selling, but you've got everything in there. Now, what it doesn't include is concessions. Okay, and I know you guys know this, if you're doing concessions, if you're doing houses in the median range where the average person can afford it, can afford the house, they're typically going to use all their money on their down payment and they're going to need concessions. But at $425,000 in Arizona, they're not going to need concessions, so I'm not going to put it in there. Okay, but typically if you want to be safe on your offer, in my opinion, this is 3%. So no one's going to need $12,000 in concessions. So on this house, I'm going to go with another $5,000. All right. Now, I'll put this in parentheses. A safe bet for sales costs and doing a quick analysis is 9%. Okay. That's 5% for your agents, and that's 3% for concessions and 1% to sell. If you estimate subtracting 9% from your ARV, you're going to be very safe and a lot of room for error. Now you've got to subtract out carrying costs. This is going to be everything. This is going to be money, utilities, insurance, HOA, etc. Whatever your monthly bills are. For me, what I do is round up, and we're running on, okay, we're good on time. Now watch this. So what I do is I'm going to take my purchase price time, we're going to get to this, times 80%, and that's going to equal my loan. And then I'm going to times that in order to get my interest rate, right? I mean, my loan payment times 12% on average. Now I do get 10% money, right? This is my hard money loan. And divide it by, I don't know, where's the damn divide button? Divide by 12, right? So I'll get to the purchase price in a minute because that's what we're getting to in order for us to get that carrying cost, right? Then I have to subtract out my fix-up. This is where, and when I'm underwriting, I'm going to go 2,100 square feet in this, in this particular area. I know that it's going to be $30 per square foot to fix this place cosmetically. I know it because I need to stone the fireplace. I need to blow out some walls. I need to put in granite. I need to put in all new cabinets, upgraded cabinets, soft close. It's a very nice house with Berber carpet, big baseboards, you know, adding accents, nicer tile flooring, exterior paint, a little bit of landscaping in the backyard, these types of things. So I'm going to be at $30 a square foot. So I'm going to round it to 60,000. And if I needed to add, it didn't need a roof and it didn't need an AC unit. It needed a garage door and stuff. So this was a pretty decent analysis of what it would take, but I know it might be a little bit more. Okay. So fix up costs. Now I gotta subtract out my profit, right? You got to have profit. Now for me, you guys, I like to make $1 for every dollar I put in. If I put 20 grand in or 10 grand in, I have to project that if I screw up, I still want to make 20 grand. There's nothing, I mean, when you get started, it's okay that you're going to do a deal and you might make 3, 5, 10 grand and it just is what it is. But if you're picking deals that are going to make 10 grand and you screw up, you might make 0. You're going to go 4 to 6 months, work your butt off. Yeah, you're going to learn some stuff, but you're going to be frustrated. Nobody wants to work for free. So if I'm putting in less than 20,000, I still want to make 20 grand. I don't care. If I put in 30 grand, I want to make 30 grand. So I want to get my 30 back and make another 30. So in this case, I don't necessarily need to make exactly 60, but if I'm going to do this much work, I want to make 50K. Okay, that's what I want to make on this thing. If I screw up and make 35, I'm still happy, but I want the opportunity to at least make 50K. All right, now the last thing I'm going to have is buy costs. And that's going to be about 1% of purchase price. And then I can get to my purchase price. So 425 minus 21 minus 4 minus 5 minus 60 minus 50 minus, call it $5,000 right now for closing costs when I buy it. Okay, 425 minus 25 minus 5 minus 60 minus 50 minus 5. That's 280 grand. Okay, now I got to throw in some carrying costs. Okay, so I know if I go back to so I'm at 280K right now. Now I also need to go to carrying costs. So if I have 280 times 0.8 times 12% divided by 12, that's $2,240 a month. Okay, so I'm going to round up to $2,500 a month. So I include insurance, give myself some leeway, insurance, taxes, and HOAs and utilities. Times 6 months on this deal is $15,000 in in carrying costs. So now I'm at 265K. And that's my purchase price. When I make my offer, it's probably going to be 250. And I will tell you, my offer on this house was 240,000. They countered me to 280 and I settled at 265. And that's exactly what I got on this house. Now, 425 was a conservative ARV for me. Concessions I'm probably not going to have to give. My loan costs are actually less than this, and my sales price is actually much higher. So this is my formula, and I'm going to go back through it so you guys have it. And Keely, let me know if there's another question before we finish up. So my underwriting is simply this: in 10 to 15 minutes, every time I get a deal on an opportunity across my table, I want to make an offer all the time. Why not? Right? And then I'm going to finish real quick with pertaining this to marketing, because this is a marketing call and there's a reason for this. We just don't always have enough time. You guys, I do ARV minus sales cost. If you want to be safe, times it by 9% or 0.91. Then take out your closing costs. I'm sorry, that's included in your sales cost. Then take out your fix-up costs, your carrying costs, and don't forget your profit and your purchase costs, right? Those are your 4 expenses: sales costs, carrying costs, fix-up costs, and profit. And that's going to give you your purchase price, your offer price. And whatever your offer price is going to be, you want to reduce it by $5,000 or $10,000 because you're going to need to negotiate up. And, I will leave you with this too. I usually don't use percentages. I mean, if you're trying to get 60 cents on the dollar at $425,000, well, this is pretty close. But if you bank on that, you're not always going to get this. You're not always going to get that discount, and you're going to get laughed at. You could still do this deal at 70 cents on the dollar, no problem. Okay, was my point. A lot of, if you're buying a house for 150,000, then that's worth 150,000. 60 cents on the dollar is a good way to go. But if you're buying a $1 million house and you're trying to get it for $400,000 off, it's not always going to work. Okay, so here's my point. With this, Keels, I don't know if there were any other questions, but I'll type in my cell phone number one more time. What's that?
There's not.
Okay, perfect. in my opinion, when you're marketing this week, next week, up until nationals, where you're going to learn a whole bunch more stuff on how to market. Marketing to warm market and friends and family about real estate and people, when you bring an intrigue and you've got somebody on the line and someone's interested in real estate, you can honestly tell them that they're not alone. You can tell them that there are people that have learned the information that they're going to be able to learn, and that you, along with everybody you know, is able to have access to hands-on experiences of other people that have gone down the path that they've gone before. And that's what Bob has created with Renatus and the before and after program. This type of stuff that Michael and the guys put together, this call, enabling us to whether, no matter what Michael's teaching about or Christian's teaching about, there is, for lack of a better word, gold in every single training every week. And when you can take that and not just apply what they're training, but apply what you've learned there, and then use that as your marketing strategy. Like, this is what I did today. This is what I talked about. This is an example. This is a story of what I'm doing. That is more powerful sometimes than the actual training itself. And that's where this comes in. You'd have to get on the phone with me for me to explain this necessarily to you, so you could exactly go out and implement this. You should be able to, but if you had questions on it. But the majority of this is for you to take this segment and be able to talk about it as your actual marketing intrigue, like being able to generate a question around this. Hey, could you imagine if you never had to pay an extra dime and you could work with somebody who's done over 130 deals, 100 fix and flips, and he gave you his formula for nothing? What would that mean to you? Because that's what I did this morning. It was incredible. Or you don't even ask the question. You just tell somebody about it, right? The whole point is that this is set up. We're able to use this. I'm able to offer this on this platform because Michael and the guys and John O'Neill and set this up, and Christian Sadler, and then they offered me the opportunity to be a part of this. And I'm able to share with you guys this information, and you're able to take it and go share it with other people. That's the power of what the before and after program is set up by Bob Snyder and Renatus. It doesn't exist anywhere else, right? If I was training this with people that I used to coach prior to Renatus marketing, right, it would be a minimum of $250 an hour for me to go over the same stuff, like to sit there and talk to them, because that's what I charged based on the overall aspect of how much time I gave them, based on how much I charged them for $10,000 to $20,000. It's invaluable in my opinion, and this is exactly. I prefer to give this information out than to get paid to do it, if that makes sense. I'd rather invite students to learn it from the 31 practicing instructors that are far and above where I'm going. They're where I want to be, and then be able to reiterate what they've taught me. And just remind everybody that we are not the mentors, but when they say, hey, I just want to have my hand held and I want to have, if someone could teach me and I learn, our instructors provide that through our platform that we offer the education, and then they get to surround themselves with people that have taken that knowledge, learned it and applied it, and then share it freely with everybody else. I hope that makes sense. All right, 8:05, I'll cut this off. I'll go back to my, thing, and then I'll end the call. I'll put my phone number back on there one more time. So let's see. I don't remember how to get back out of here. Okay, cool. So there we go. I don't know what I just did. With that, all right, cool. So thank you for the question, Magna. I really appreciate it. So I'll write one more time my cell phone in here, 760-533-3141. Thanks everybody for being here. Thank you, Keely, for helping me out as always. There's your big name right there in front of everybody. You're awesome. You guys are all awesome. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope this was helpful. And I hope it made sense from a marketing aspect, a marketing method. So with that, you guys, thanks for the opportunity. Abdi, thanks for all you do, for setting this up and the great introduction. Everybody make it a great day. It's awesome Tuesday. So yeah, have fun. And I'll see you guys at the meetings, and I'll see you at nationals, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Thanks. for your time.